Hello, so we're looking at objectives again, but this time we're going to look at it from the point of view of larger businesses for Unit 2. So rather than just focusing on profit, survival, growth, as we did do for Unit 1, we're now looking at more ambitious objectives, you could say, so a growth in market share or expanding internationally. Some of the objectives may seem very similar, but slightly different reasons behind them. So whereas with Unit 1 we said profit, we just wanted profit. Here we might want profit growth, so strengthening profit. Often it's really interesting actually reading business reports, especially when big companies release their accounts for the year. There's often what they call kind of profit warnings, and a lot of the time these profit warnings are actually where the businesses have made profit, which is a good thing, but they've made less profit than they have done previously, or maybe in the year before, and this is like seen as really bad news and terrible. So big businesses, LTDs, PLCs, always want more profit than they were making the previous year, and one of the reasons for this is you'll get larger dividends. So this is the payment made to shareholders from company profits. This is how the profits get to the owners, the shareholders. And the other reason is the profit that's not distributed to the shareholders can be reinvested, and this can be used to spend on further growth, especially external growth, which is a very expensive form of growth to undertake. And the business will have to take out loans usually to fund that type of growth, but as well they'll need to support it with their own reinvested profit. So that's one of the reasons that large businesses want to not only make profit but have larger amounts of profit than they did do the year before. Another key objective, now this I actually put into the Unit 1 presentation, but increasing market share, and this is the market share for social media. And the definition is the percentage of a market that a business owns. So why would a business want this? Well, it indicates higher revenue and the business maybe being more successful in their market. So that can have an impact for people wanting to invest in the business as well, because here we can see these different forms of social media. If we know that Facebook's profit's going to increase in the coming years, if their market share is going to increase, we can use that as an indicator of their success. So we might want to, or we might be more willing to buy shares in this company. Lots of businesses can charge a higher price if they've got the dominant market position. So think about Cadbury's. Okay, it's not the most expensive chocolate in the market, but they can certainly charge a higher price than own brand stuff that supermarkets create. You get usually a more recognised brand because it is, if you've got the highest market share in the market, you are the dominant business, you're the leader. And you may get better negotiating power with suppliers as well. And what that means is that you might be able to push down the prices of your supplies, so reducing your costs of production. Another key objective that we didn't really consider with Unit 1 was expanding internationally. So there might be larger markets overseas, so greater potential for sales, revenue, profits. There may be lower material costs abroad, lower gas, electricity, business rates, corporation tax. There might be lower labour costs, so the average wage might be a lot lower, especially in your less economically developed countries tend to find lower wages. And they might provide better markets, so there might be growing economies out there, or possibly less competition in those markets. So over the past few years, we've seen a lot of Western countries in Europe go through recession, but there's a lot of countries, especially in Asia, who haven't gone through recession, who have been really growing, and they have very strong growth in their economies. So that's a really good market to look at and look at getting established in for future potential. Another objective could be to increase shareholder value. Okay, so that's about increasing the value of the shares, and managers might want to do this because they know that they're kind of ruled in some way by the dominant shareholders, and the reason that the shareholders want their shares to increase in value is because everybody wants to everybody wants what they own to be worth a lot, because if it's worth a lot, there's potential in the future that you could sell it. So you want, when you've bought a share share in a company, you want the value of that share to appreciate or increase, so that when you do, if you do sell it on, you get a profit, you get a gain on top of for the price that you bought it at. Another reason is higher share prices can mean larger dividends as well. It doesn't always work that way, but it can. This is the share price of Facebook since they were floated on the market. It is about 2012 there. And you can see increasing value of their share price there. This is in US dollars, and I've just got this off Google. So Google Finance, that is, and they publish share prices. So you can see quite strong growth in Facebook's share price. Another objective as well might be more managerial based, so maybe not the owners, but the people that are running the business. So I have mentioned this before with PLCs and LTDs. You can get what we call this divorce of ownership and control. So this means that the people that own the business are not necessarily the people that are running the business, and this might lead to the business aiming for objectives that, rather than being in the owner's interest, the shareholder's interest, they're in the interest of the manager. So some of the things that they might try and do is increase their own status by trying to grow the business as large as possible in terms of kind of product ranges, the countries that they operate in, the amount of revenue they earn. Now, you would think that maximizing your revenue just automatically leads to maximizing profit, but it doesn't quite work that way all the time. Sometimes you grow, but you grow too large, you have cash flow problems, you get diseconomies of scale. So just growing by increasing the amount of products that you sell or the amount of locations that you operate from is not always a way of increasing profit. Some managers may also try to increase their own salary and bonuses, so they may focus on goals that will get them the biggest bonus, but which might not necessarily be good for the business in the long run. And takeovers and expansion abroad, often it generates a lot of publicity for the business as well. So managers may try to aim for those types of strategies because their name will be reported in the business reports as well, and it helps them if they're moving on to another job later after this one. So it can be that the business is aiming for something that's not necessarily in the interests of the owners, but it does benefit the manager. Okay, so those are some of the differences between the aims and objectives of larger firms compared to smaller firms.